Hello everyone and welcome back to video 5 of the Stevenson Way, as I'm taking you on a little journey through the brief highlights of what's involved in my self-help program, the Stevenson Way. So today's topic, or today's pillar, is the mind. Last one we talked about body, and today we're going to talk about mind. And now again, it's obvious, mental health, you're going to talk about the mind, and it seems like a no-brainer. The reality is, for years and years I tried to fix my mind and my broken thought patterns and all the rest of it. I always started there, and I never really had a great deal of long-lasting success. I was great at sticky plasters, great at putting myself back together again, getting the game face back on, going back out there and living my best life and all that other malarkey. But you know what? It never really stuck. What's changed this time around is I left the mind stuff to a lot later in the process, and I got things that I could do under control first before I came into the mind stuff. And then when it came to the mind stuff, I approached it from a completely different path than before. So again, the kinds of things that I used this time around were breathing techniques, learning how to breathe. Sounds silly, we breathe all the time, but when you put some effort and control into it and you do a couple of good YouTube video searches, you can discover all sorts of interesting stuff about breathing techniques. I found a couple that work really well for me, that allowed me to without getting too yoga-ish, get present and allow me to be more present in the moment. Again, I learned about visualization techniques. One that's really powerful for me is when I get anxious and worried, I take myself for a walk in the Sequoia giant redwood forest, which I went to, 25 something years ago, maybe now, 23, 24, 5 years ago now, on my honeymoon, and my first honeymoon, second one's coming up soon. And that memory of the quietness and the solidity and the history behind those giant trees that had lived for centuries, some of them for millennia, it was something that allowed me to ground myself. Other people have lots of different grounding techniques. That's just one I used. I mean, I'm not a mindfulness practitioner in any way, but there's a lot of good stuff in it and all the rest of it. And as some of the other people out there on LinkedIn are always going on about, especially Ian McClure, there's the 5 ways to well-being, the 4 S's. There's all lots of good, really good stuff that's out there that can allow you to think, what works for you will not necessarily work for the next person, so on. It's just about trying things and new things until you find something that just is right for you. I never tried them before, and that's why nothing ever really stuck for me. And again, I've mentioned it before, my love for ancient philosophy, for starting to read little things like Lao Tzu, reading the teachings of Buddha and Confucius, just getting interested in the old ancient wisdom. Again, all that played a part. And in the Stevenson pillar, the mind section of the Stevenson Way, I introduce you to thoughts that you might not have considered looking at before, that you might have discounted. And I just try to get you to expand your horizons a little bit and let some new thoughts or some old thoughts into your current day-to-day life. And then finally, at the very end of that, when you've got a handle on all of that, that's when you start to be able to look towards dealing with what your problems actually are. What are the things that are causing you your biggest upsets, your biggest pain, your biggest stumbling blocks? And then we break them down, we work on them in individual sections, and we start to address them by using the new techniques you've learned in the mind section. So that's it. Video 5 of the Stevenson Way. The pillar is mind. Thank you very much. Speak to you all soon.